Hi everyone. So I'm here today to present the conversation that I had with Erin Sweet, who is the technology integration coach with Newark Central School District, which is the district that I work with. So I feel like it's important to start by talking about what exactly a learning technology ecosystem is. So it is tools and platforms to create, deliver, manage, and analyze learning. Um, I think it's important to touch on the fact that it includes people and the processes and not just the technology. And I actually learned a lot about that when I did my interview, so we'll talk about that. The main goal is to connect the instruction with collaboration and student achievement. It's kind of all three of those things are combined together, and that's the one common goal. So, who is Aaron and what is his role in the Newark Central School District? He's the technology integration coach for UPK 12. He supports teachers, students, and administrators, and he bridges technical support with curriculum integration. So, he obviously can help you with the tech things that you need, but his main thing is he's trying to see how we can incorporate technology with our curriculum and how they can coincide in a very cohesive way. So, the core tools in the ecosystem at Newark Central School District is definitely Microsoft Teams. Aaron described it to me as being the central hub for communication and resources. We use things like the SharePoint, and we use things like the chat to communicate in Teams. We have, collaborative calendars per the buildings that you're in. We also talked about ClassLink, which is the single sign-on, easy to access tool for students and teachers. He touched on OneNote, which is an organization and classroom applications tool. He also touched on some different accessibility tools, which I thought was interesting. He talked about Immersive Reader, which is a text to speech and helps with text to speech and formatting. And then we talked about devices in general. So UPK to second grade has iPads, and then grades 3 through 12 have the stable laptops. So one of the things I wanted to touch on in my presentation was the success story that he talked about. And the success story that he talked about was he worked with a teacher who was teaching earth science, and she realized that her students really were interested in Minecraft, and it was one of their favorite things to do. So she actually reached out to Aaron, and she asked Aaron how they could integrate Minecraft into earth science. So basically, how he described it was the students built mountains in Minecraft that modeled topographic maps. And the blocks aligned naturally with the graph paper, so it was really easy to transfer the learning. The students were engaged because it connected to their interests, and he talked about how what made it successful was the fact that it was very intentional. He planned with the teacher. Every part of their lesson had a goal in mind, and it was also a lot of teacher-student collaboration, which I found really interesting. So some of the challenges and limitations with the technology ecosystem that's at Newark that Aaron touched on was a big one was compliance. Because of the new Ed Law 2D, it restricts a lot of the tools that can be used, and I'll skip ahead a little bit. So one of them is YouTube, because they had found out that YouTube was actually using the data that the students data, so they had to block it on student laptops, and basically it's now they have lost valuable instructional videos. Teachers are not very happy about the fact that YouTube's blocked. He talked a lot about how the cost of software has changed too. So basically, the cost of all this software has gone up, and during COVID, it was all free access, and now all that free access has ended. So now they kind of have to balance out, do they have the money? Is it a valuable tool that can help a lot of teachers across a bunch of grade levels? Basically, he summarized the challenges and limitations by saying that it is hard to balance teacher creativity with budget and rules. And firsthand, being a teacher, I completely agree with him. I think that, we as teachers have a lot of things that we want to try and integrate into our classrooms, but some budgets and some rules just can't allow for that. Another thing that we talked a lot about was collaboration and decision making. So within this ecosystem, their collaboration is done through Teams. It's done through email, and it's done through in-person check-ins. There's instructional coaches at every building. So, and they each have a different specialty that they have, whether it's reading, math. In Aaron's case, it's technology. So it allows for you to kind of integrate across all buildings. The one that's at my building, for example, is a reading coach. But if I need math help, I will just go to a different building who has the math instructional coach. Aaron's also the regional tech integrator in different groups, and he goes to all these different meetings, and they're able to share best practices within the entire region, so not just within our district. So he's getting a lot of input from other technical coaches and other integration coaches and what they're doing that's working or maybe not working. So there's so much collaboration happening. And then what I also think is cool about Aaron in general is that he has global connections. So he actually does a lot of networking for Microsoft. So he is able to not only make building level connections, regional connections, he's able to make global connections because of his work with Microsoft, which is so cool. So we talked a little bit about the future direction of the ecosystem, and he hands down said that the biggest impact that our school is going to have, and he honestly thinks even globally, is AI. And in our school, Microsoft Copilot, we talked a lot about Microsoft Copilot because that's what us teachers use. And Microsoft Copilot's also coming out with a platform that ages 13 and up will be able to use. So we talked a little bit about that and how he thinks that it will be really beneficial for the students. And then we also talked a little bit about Magic School, which is an AI platform that I'm familiar with because I've used it in other districts. And I'm also going to actually do some research on it for our other project in this class. And with Magic School, it's very structured and it's very teacher supported to be able to use it. And there is a student version and a teacher version. So right now, I think as adults, Aaron and I talked, we're the ones that are really using AI. But as we progress, it could turn into the students using it. And we talked about some benefits and some concerns. For benefits, it's personalization, efficiency, new learning opportunities. But there does come some concerns of data privacy and teaching our students to be able to use it responsibly. So the impact on the learners, he talked a lot about how having stable devices and devices that work and don't have issues gives you a good foundation for engagement. He talked a lot about how Immersive Reader makes content accessible for all learners, which is super important. You can have all this tech and do all these things, but if it's not accessible to all learners, then not everyone's benefiting. Talked about a lot of diagnostic tools. So at this district, we use iReady, which supports progress monitoring and goal tracking. And then he talked about how the engagement increases when the technology is connected to students' interests, which I think we saw firsthand with the Minecraft and the Earth Science example earlier on in this presentation. So overall, like to wrap it up, the key takeaways. In order to have a strong ecosystem, you need to have the correct tools, the people, and the process, and they all need to be working together. Success relies on reliability, accessible technology, intentional planning, and alignment with the curriculum, and also collaboration at all levels. And I think to wrap it up, and Aaron said it perfectly. He said AI will be both an opportunity and a disruption in the future. So it's just kind of important to figure out how we can balance the opportunity that AI can give us, but also kind of, lessen the disruption that it could have to us in the future. And thank you for watching my presentation.